Peter Zaharatos and Magda Zaharatos with their children, Alexandra and Niko. Tess Mayer for the New York Times Peter Zaharatos, the owner of SugarCube, a dessert and coffee shop in Long Island City, Queens, has recreated company logos, the ruins of the Greek Temple of Apollo, and the Empire State Building, all in chocolate. A violinist turned architect and now a chocolate artist, Mr. Zaharatos, 45, uses his 3D printer to design chocolate molds and plates for specific desserts, complete with modes that catch drizzled syrup and fillings. He lives with his wife, Magda Zaharatos, 40, who works in marketing, and their two children, Alexandra, 4, and Nicholas, 22 months, in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. Extreme close-up. Normally it's my son who wakes me up, shoving a book in my face, or a toy, around 6:30. I go shopping before my own store opens, at a Greek import place, where I can pick up ingredients. Mr. Zaharatos said. Sometimes it's Greek coffee, or a phyllo dough called katafi. Tess Mayer for the New York Times speech aid. Next thing is the morning coffee. Cup of coffee, it becomes a ritual. It's the thing that my wife and I both have. Without that, we can't speak properly. On the menu, my 4-year-old daughter's normally making the breakfast menu. It'll either be my wife doing her famous pancakes, or my French toast. In the middle of that, I'll be doing maybe 15-20 minutes of a 3D model test in the software Rhinoceros. Mr. Zaharatos adjusts his 3D printer outside of SugarCube in Long Island City. Tess Mayer for the New York Times. Music together, and then I spend some time with my kids, reading and then drawing, and then we play together. I studied violin for many years, so I have a violin for my 4-year-old, but my 22-month-old ends up playing that one, and then my daughter ends up playing my little violin, my quarter-size violin, from when I was like 9. So then we're all playing, but maybe someone will be missing a bow, or will want to take mine, and then a lot of screaming begins, and then the whole thing ends. Secret ingredient. I go shopping before my own store opens, at a Greek import place, where I can pick up ingredients. Sometimes it's Greek coffee, or a phyllo dough called katafi. There's a spice called mastia. It's an ancient tree sap that comes from an island called Chios in the Aegean. When you introduce it into custards, or pastry cream, or bread, it enhances flavors. That becomes my secret ingredient. Mr. Zaharatos pours chocolate into a mold. Tess Mayer for the New York Times. Works in progress. I'm also an architect, so I do have some residential projects and design projects that go on in Brooklyn. On a Sunday morning, I may stop by to see the progress on one of them. Purees and pistachios, and then I'll head into the city to Chelsea Market. I pick up purees and pistachios and hazelnuts from Piedmont, the Italian hazelnuts. Sunday mornings, you can park anywhere. And then I head over through the Queens Midtown Tunnel into Long Island City, to get to my store. Some of the chocolate delicacies at SugarCube. Tess Mayer for the New York Times. Roast. Because I lack storage, whatever I make, it's for that day or the next day, maybe 3 days maximum. I have a regimen of a few desserts that are repeats. If we're out of pistachio gelato, I'll roast pistachios, first thing, for exactly 9 minutes. If it's 7 minutes, it's not enough. If it's 12 minutes, they taste like peanuts. Those get pureed into a paste with a Greek olive oil. Meanwhile, the dairy's being heated, and then those are brought together and spun. Improv. A lot of my local customers, they'll bring me an ingredient, maybe some tea from China, or a bottle of Prosecco, or a sparkling rosé, and they say, "Peter, will you make something out of this?" And so I'll make a sorbet. Because I lack storage, whatever I make, it's for that day or the next day, maybe 3 days maximum. Mr. Zaharatos said. I have a regimen of a few desserts that are repeats. If we're out of pistachio gelato, I'll roast pistachios, first thing, for exactly 9 minutes. Tess Mayer for the New York Times. Fine print. I set up the 3D printer outside the store. Passers-by are always stopping, asking me, what is that machine and what is it doing? By 1, I'll have a print, and I'll start working on the mold. That means immersing the 3D print into a little box that I make out of leftover cardboard, then mixing a food-grade silicone, to make the kind of rubber that's going to release. Protecting the palate. I sometimes don't eat, or forget to eat. If I do eat, it's something that's simple and doesn't mess with my palate. Greek yogurt, honey, walnuts, things I've grown up with. Simple, healthy, something that doesn't keep me down. And all that jazz. Sundays are my really kind of wonderful days for the store, because I normally have jazz bands that play there. They show up around 6:30 p.m. By 8:30, I've picked up 2 bottles of a sparkling rosé. I break one open for the band, and then I'll use the second for a last sorbet. By 9, I try to leave. some light reading. Maybe I'll have a glass of wine, and pick up a book on Greek Kabbalah or the Athenian Navy, and how it relates to democracy. A version of this article appears in print on December 10, 2017, on page MB2 of the New York edition with the headline "A Chocolate Artist with Many Dimensions."